and welcome to Killtocraft, episode 4. It's Saturday, 6:45 in the morning in UK. I am Vanessa, your host, and today's podcast is about knitting, spinning, probably not spinning actually, sewing, reading, what I bought, pretty much a bit of everything. So, I'm Vanessa, I'm 28 years old, I'm from West Yorkshire, and I started knitting 8 years ago due to a little bout of depression and anxiety. I suffer with anxiety quite long term. And knitting helps keep me encouraged, confident, well-spirited. I know that today we'll have some new listeners, so welcome. I'd like to thank you all for dropping by and viewing the show, and it's so nice to have you guys pat yourselves on the back watching. It keeps me going, and it's nice to know I've got such kind friends out there watching me. And I'd like to thank as well Mina from the Knitting Expert podcast. She found my podcast this week and shared me on her Instagram and on her podcast. I think it's episode 19. And she's so sweet, she's lovely, and thank you, Mina, for sharing me. She said some lovely words, and they were all really kind, and she's so nice to talk to. I think she's adorable. If you haven't watched Mina's podcast, then I advise you to go over there straight after this one and watch an episode. Mina also makes project bags, which she sells in her Etsy store. So, and they are lovely. And she had a shop update yesterday. So there's possibly, if you're lucky, a few bags in there for you. Oh god, yeah, you can tell I'm out of sorts this morning. I'm quite tired. I've just woken up about 45 minutes ago. I'm trying to get the podcast in before my boyfriend wakes up and wants to hang out about in his living room for the day. I think I could have done with like an extra massive mug of coffee. That one, tiny. Anyway, where you can find me. So you found me today on YouTube, Killtocraft podcast. You can also find me on Instagram as Nessa Townley, NESSA TOWNLEY. You can also find me on Raverlry as Killtocraft, and Twitter I think is Nessa_stardom, but I don't use Twitter as much as I use the Instagram platform. So this week we have big news. We have now got a Ravelry forum. Yes. It's a bit daunting for me. You probably can tell. Sorry if you can hear that, that's the road sweepers. They do that before it gets busy, and you can probably hear their loud noise. It's probably going to travel past, it'll be fine. Just checking my show notes because I've kind of mislaid where I am. Yes, podcast forum. So, we now have a forum on Ravelry. It's Killtocraft podcast, and you can join me on there. And if you fancy, you can give me a little introduction on one of the little discussions, and share a little bit about yourself, not just for me, but for the other people in the group. It'd be nice to get to know you all. And yeah, you should join. We have a little discussion for the first, second and third episode up there, and you don't have to discuss in those three if you don't want, because they've been and gone, but I put them up so that they are there. I figured some people that are new to the podcast might jump in and fill those up anyway, a little bit. I am so out of sorts this morning. I'm going to have another sip of coffee. So, I suppose I'll tell you what I've been up to. The last time you talked to me, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, my partner was on a visit to see friends and family. And then I had a week to myself. He came back on the Saturday, and he came back with a broken hand. He'd been out with friends, a bit drunk, and managed to break his metacarpal on just above his little finger. And basically his knuckle had concaved in. So he got, I think Monday, after he'd done it on the Sunday, he'd gone to hospital down there, and they basically wrapped him up and told him to visit his hospital up here. They said that he didn't need surgery and he could have a little cast and he'd be fine. So he got back on Saturday, and we went to the hospital on the Sunday because we didn't know how long it was going to take. It didn't take too long. He didn't have all the necessary documents because they didn't send them to the hospital for him. So they had to redo x-rays and things. And we found out he did need surgery. The plastic surgeon had a discussion with him about the possibility that he wouldn't be able to grip with his hand if he decided not to have surgery. Well, everybody needs to be able to do this at some point, I'm sure. And basically, if his knuckle was here, he'd be pushing that back out every time. It'd be painful. So he decided to have surgery, and because his healing process may have already have started, they had to rush him in for day surgery, which they put him to sleep on Monday, and they spent 2 hours doing the surgery, putting wires into his hand. So it's been an exhausting, worrying few weeks because he did it while he was away, so I had no idea how bad it was. I didn't get to see him until he got home. Basically, it was just, I was all out of sorts. I wouldn't have been able to have done pretty much anything, like podcasting or anything, because my mind was just elsewhere. So he got a little bit told off when he got back. But he's okay, which is the main thing, and he's not enjoying being bandaged up and things like that, but he's hopefully got an appointment on Monday to have his dressings off, and we can start his hand therapy, which would be tops. I think you can tell this week that I'm totally out of sorts. I think you'll be able to tell. Oh no. Oh well. But yes, so we've had quite a few hospital visits, and on the Monday after the surgery we had to go back to the hospital late evening, as his hand was going pins and needles and he'd lost sensation in his little finger, which isn't good because he'd just had that surgery on. So we went back to the hospital and they had to redress his hand, it was too tight. So, but other than that, he's been fine since. So yeah, apart from being stuck in the house, he's not keen on that. So that's what we've been up to for the past couple of weeks, as well as watching films and the odd bit of knitting and me working and pampering and looking after him. So it's been quite busy. I think Will's been our main priority since he got back, which, to be fair, is obvious. He's going to be. So, I think we'll get on with some knitting related discussions this morning. Might wake me up a bit. Cross fingers. I'll discuss my FO with you. So, last time I think I'd started this because it was a weekend project, because it needed to be knitted for a deadline, because it was a test knit. It was a test knit for Raverlry knits, and the pattern is called Go. It's now available. It's lovely, isn't it? I think it's gorgeous. So this is my version. It's hard to see the pattern a little bit, but it is there, I can assure you. Anyway, it fits really nice. It's really cute. Totally happy with this. And yeah, the pattern was no trouble whatsoever. Got on straight through it, fine and dandy. The instructions were great. The fit, again, like our other hat pattern that I made a few weeks back, it fits really nice. I have no qualms with that at all. I finished it on time, and I gave Renee a few little tweaks to a pattern. It wasn't anything serious, it was just advising her a little bit about some little bits like needle gauges that she'd got the American sizing and no British sizing. So when I received the pattern, I had to then go searching, which isn't too hard with Ravelry. Ravelry have like a listing of the needle sizes, and it tells you the English to the American, which is brilliant. And but basically I said it'd be really handy if she just popped the, like, whether it was 4mm or 3 1/4 in there. She agreed, so she popped that in. So it was just little tweaks really. But yeah, so that's that one. I bet you can see it better now. It's really lovely. I knitted this in the Fibre Spates DK. It's really soft. I had this actually in my caked up in my my stash for quite a number of years, which these days I don't seem to cake and leave them just lying around in protected bags. And I now know why, because after so many years the outside of the ball gets roughed. You do not want that. Leave them in the skein. They are safer in the skein. I came back to this and had to reball it because it looked like the top part of the soft fluff had mattered together ever so slightly. But I weren't happy. I had to reskein it and put it into a ball again. It just looked a bit messy, so I don't do that anymore. I leave them in the skein until I'm going to use them. Best plan. So, works in progress. I have no new stuff to show you at all, but maybe next week. So I'm doing a test knit. I'm using this blue in the King Cole Merino Blend 4-ply, which is really nice actually, really nice yarn. It's not a sock yarn, I know that, but you can knit socks in anything really, can't you? I'll give you a little peek. This is going to be a new pattern for a new designer, and I have written quite a lot of notes on the pattern for this designer, and the sock fits really well, I have to say. But I think once I'm done, because I've passed the past the heel, sorry, I think once I'm done I probably won't knit the other sock. I was just knitting this to test it, so I don't really feel the need to knit the other one, to be honest. And I like the pattern, but it's not for me. Some patterns are like that, like you can like them, but they're not necessarily what you'd enjoy or what you fancy knitting. And I think I've not touched this for 2 weeks, and I think that signifies it. Keeping this in my Adventure Time bag. I think that signifies that I'm not that interested. So I'm not going to continue knitting on it if I'm not bothered by it. My next sock project is a mystery Cal by It's Curiosa by Rachel Coopy, and it's a mystery Cal. So if you don't want to look now, I'd probably turn away because I'm going to show it. So I'll count down to 1. So 3, 2, 1. Turn around. If you're interested, this is how it's coming out at the minute. Really pretty and ornate looking. Now, I've got them both, you can look back now, I've got them both at the same point, but unfortunately I'm like a couple of clues behind now because the 4th clue is out. I'm still just at the end of the 2nd clue. I took these to the hospital on the first visit on the Sunday with me to get a little bit done. But when you're toing and froing from different wards or different areas of the hospital for x-rays, it's not ideal to be on a complicated pattern. So I kind of decided from then on not to take them. So I didn't really get a massive percent done. And when I thought that I'd finished the clue to, I turned over the page to find out there was another chart to still complete, and I was like, oh, I thought I'd done. I was really excited. So on to the third clue next, which I'm hoping will include the heel, which will be nice. It'll make me feel like I've gotten further ahead than what I am at the minute. My next work in progress is still my Greco sweater, which is in my newly made Space Kid bag. So I made this last week. It's really cute. In fact, no, I made that this week, if you look at my Instagram. And it doesn't have any pockets, it's just a straight lined project bag. But it's enough so far to be able to fit my Greco into it, which is nice. It is quite sizable. And I'm really getting into making these. I'm really into making them. I'm enjoying doing them. Never know what the future may hold. You might end up being able to get one for yourselves. So, the Greco top, as you can see me flouncing it about, has gotten further ahead than it was. There's now a front to it, and there is now 2 backs and one of the ties for the back. I'm going to start the next one today. And then the sleeves are picked up around the armhole on double pointed needles. As you can see, I've got a few stitches at the bottom, which I've never done actually. I've never knitted sleeves by picking them up and just knitting around, so that'll be interesting. I this week last weekend had a bit of a catastrophe because I knitted all the way from here all the way to here, and then I found out that I'd used the wrong amount of stitches for my front, so I didn't have enough for my back. Oh, I was absolutely devastated. And it meant that I had to rip it all back, which wasn't too bad. I kept the stripes just balled up into little handy balls, and just knitted back from them because they weren't like wavy or anything, and just knitted it straight back in. That looks like it's puckered a little bit at the front, but when you wear it, it kind of flattens out, so I'm just going to leave that. It'll get pinned like the bottom, and this fits such a nice length. I'm glad that I chose another pattern repeat onto the bottom. It's like perfect length. So yeah, and I tweaked it a little bit. As up here, for some reason, the back, which ends here in the middle, has so many rows of garter stitch, but then when you got to the front it had an extra few rows of the pink. I don't understand why, because it doesn't have that on that side, so I didn't include that. And when I got to the shoulder on the backs, I decided that I wasn't going to garter stitch all the way across. I was going to let the 5 stitches just run up in stocking stitch, which I think makes it look better, neater, I'd say. I wouldn't want to have garter stitch interrupting it up here, just wouldn't seem right. so it's not a massive tweak. And you don't have to technically do that yourselves either. But I liked that tweak. And the other tweak obviously is that the dark colour on the magazine, on Pom Pom issue 13, summer 2015, the dark colour, which would be the coral, is actually the lace pattern sections, and the stocking stitch is actually in the lighter colour, which would be the grey. And I've gone the opposite route so that you can actually see the lace patterns, which I really like. It's come out really well. So, next is, my computer's just come on. Oh well, it's got a jellyfish on the screen that I saw when we went to the Berlin Museum, zoo, not museum, the Berlin Zoo, while we were there visiting, and it was great, and I love jellyfish and they looked amazing. Anyway, next up is my hoarding section, because I buy and hoard a lot of craft stuff, so I'm going to pick out the non-craft thing first, but I think you'll be interested in it because it's awesome. I bought a new colouring book. If you haven't got a colouring book, where have you been? You need one. It's basically a form of relaxation that they're now doing for adults as well as children by making these colouring books, because they realise a lot of people get stressed and need downtime that they can still enjoy, and colouring in is great. I've already got a colouring book, but I only really do colouring in it when I'm not doing anything else, and when I'm not doing anything else I sometimes get really frustrated and I need something to fill that gap, and that is what the colouring book does for me. I've got another one that I'm still on my first picture, and I know I shouldn't be buying another one when I haven't filled the first. But I saw this in WH Smith's, which is a bookshop, and I found it cheaper online, so I ended up buying it. Treated myself. And it's basically really quirky, but it's called Animorphia, and basically it's animals, but you can see these cute little funny characters in there as well, which is how it managed to enthrall me into buying it. They're just too cute. Like, some of these have got like dinosaurs in, bunnies, and funny little creatures. And it makes it one big picture. I mean, look at this guy. How could you not love this guy? He's just totally cute. And there is more of them all the way throughout the book. And this one's really good as well. It's got little octopuses in and starfish. And it's got seahorses. I think it basically has that feeling of like illustrated artwork and a little bit of graffiti street drawings in there as well. But then there's also sections like this where you get to fill in your own stripes on the zebra with crazy little animals, which I also quite like. I think that's really good. And little challenges like fill in this page with bats. I suppose you could do little funky characters in between there as well. And the tortoises. I just really like the book. It's amazing. I got that for £4. Free postage, and I think that was from the book depository online, and I thought that was really good because the retail price is like £10. So I treat myself a little bit too much. My next purchase was another book, which is by Clara Pax, and it's the Knitter's Book of Socks. Now, from, I think it was the first episode, I had some sock yarn by the Wool Barn, some terracotta tweed yarn. I haven't done anything with that yet because I needed this, so I trekked myself to this. I think I recall saying that I wanted to do the Kensington sock pattern. There it is. Which is this one. I think it's a really nice sock pattern. The book is quite ample, and I'd say that more it discusses about what you need to know about socks and how different yarns wear and how many plies, how well the yarn works depending on what fibre it is and what the fibre is constructed of, and how to take everything into consideration before you make a sock. And then rather than having, because I think a lot of sock books have mainly recipes for toes and heels, rather than that it's just got a really nice selection of patterns. But when I say really nice, I mean really nice. The list of designers, I'll read a few out for you, is just great, basically. Clara Pax has one, Cat Body, Cookie A, Nora Gorn, Hannah Hansen. We have also Nancy Bush, Cerelia Rose and Jared Flood, and Anne Budd. That's just a few, and I recommend getting this. I got mine for about £13 something, and I had to wait a little bit longer for this to arrive. I got this yesterday, but it's totally worth it, and I know that in future I will knit plenty of these socks. Like, they're just really nice. I'll pop a link in the show notes so you can look on Ravelry at the other patterns that are available in the book. But it's really nice, and it's set out nicely as well. I'll show you how I mean. Set out really nice. You've got the weight of the yarn it uses, the sizes, the foot measurements, a little bit about the sock, inspiration, and you've got your pattern. It's set out lovely. Quite a few pictures, detailed images as well. And you've got your charts, which I like. I like to work from charts. I like to be able to use like washi tape and highlight where I am. So I'm supposing at some point I might actually end up scanning patterns and printing some of this off to be able to mark where I am. So some of the other things I bought. I've been wanting, after seeing a tutorial by Vol and Vine, Yarngasm podcast, I've been wanting to knit with beads, and Danny from Little Bobbins only made that more so for me. So I've been wanting to put them in my canopy shawl, which is a bit of a problem because canopy shawl is done in a DK weight yarn, which I didn't think of at first, and thankfully Danny from Little Bobbins did when I was discussing it with her, and she pointed it out, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to put beads in this. That's dashed my plans, and I was a little bit upset. I really wanted to add beads to this, but I didn't want them to be really massive and bulky either. So I just left it for a little while, but I still kept looking at beads online, and the want, the need, I'm sure you know what I'm saying. And so one of the days Danny posted up an image on Instagram of her knitted shawl with the beads, and it is gorgeous what she's making. Gorgeous. She's using like a slightly mauved bead and a slightly mauvey purpley yarn. Oh, it's so nice. It just looks beautiful on the pictures. Anyway, Danny is so unbelievably kind. I then sent her a little picture of her shawl on Instagram, and kindly asked her if she'd partake in a knitting experiment for me, which sounds a bit odd, but she was very willing and game and said to me, what can I do for you? So I explained to her that I was still thinking of this shawl having beads, and it was driving me mad that I might not be able to do it. And with her having the size 6 beads available, that could she test them with a DK weight yarn for me, see if she could actually hook them onto the yarn, onto a knitting. And Danny was like, yeah, of course I can. So she asked me what the fibre properties of the yarn was, and it was a 100% merino wool. It was Malabrigo Ario, I think it's called. And yeah, so Danny sent me a picture back about 10 minutes later with this little strip of knitting and some little beads placed in it, and she was like, yes, it is a little bit more difficult to pull through, but it is able to get them in. So it's a tight fit, but you could technically do it. So I was like, yes. I was like, thank you so much, Danny, for actually trying this out for me, because I didn't want to buy beads and find out that when I got them I couldn't use them because they'd be too small. I think that would be really disappointing. And so whilst I knew that somebody I knew, well, not knew personally but knew from online, was working in them, and like Danny, so lovely, she popped the little beads on a little sample for me, and it's just so much better than me buying them and then not being able to use them and them just lying around for years, and me also still being very disappointed that I couldn't do my shop. So I went then online, and you know when you find that everywhere you look doesn't seem to have what you're wanting? All the beads that I was looking at were generally out of stock on most websites. And then I decided to look at Etsy. And I've looked at this shop before, previously on Etsy, and it's Just a Dream, Just a Daydream Etsy shop. I think she's from Wales, and she does like bats and fibre and beads, DPNs. She does like a little selection of everything, but it tends to be colour coordinated, does her shop, which I really like. So like there'll be yarn or there'll be fibre, or there'll be beads, or there'll be trimming, and they'll all be cream, and then it'll go into browns or golds, and they'll be all themed around each other. So I bought some size 6 beads. Now, these are in different colours, as you can see. So you've got some light, some dark, and they're in like a pearlescent, kind of pinky red colours. I love these. And I decided, I'll go and get the yarn. I decided, because this is the yarn that I'm using, Malabrigo Juniper Ario, I decided that it'd be really nice to put the light beads in with the light shaded parts of the yarn, and the darker beads in with the darker shades of the yarn. And I think these are going to work really well. So I'm even more excited about starting this, and I class a shawl as quite a big project, so I don't want to start it and find that because I've got something else that's big on the needles that this doesn't get the attention it deserves. So I'm waiting until I've got my Greco top off my needles for the Pom Pom Quarterly summer knit along, and I'm going to start on my canopy shawl. I'm so excited about that. So they're just waiting for me. The next thing I bought this week is another pattern by Raverlry Knits, which isn't going to get knitted straight away. They're doing a knit along for it, called Knitting Colour. I think it's Knitting Colour. It's on Raverlry Knits Ravelry group, and I would really join it, and if I had spare yarn for it, but I don't, and I think it's going to cost me quite a bit to get a few skeins here and there, so I'm going to wait. But I bought the pattern because it seems like a really easy beginners into brioche shawl making. So that's in line, and I've downloaded the pattern, so I'm excited about that. So that's gone in my Ravelry queue for future knitting. I think that this winter is just going to be full of shawls for me. But we'll wait until the next Pom Pom magazine come out, because that probably won't be true. I've already had ideas of making their quadrillion sweater, so that could also be in the limelight at some point. And then yarn. I bought a couple of things of yarn. I've also bought something from the Fawn Knits, from her Etsy store. I bought a project bag, but I'm waiting for that to arrive in the post, and we both did a little swap as well, so we're waiting for our little mini skeins and our little packages, and I'm so excited. I'm like a big kid waiting for my post. I'm like, come on, I'm waiting, give me my wool, give me my presents. So yeah, I can't wait for it to arrive. I'm like, oh, parcels. So yeah, I think now I'm waking up a bit, and you could probably see the difference from when I first started the podcast to now. I'm like completely different person once I've woken up. So yeah, so I've got a project bag from Lara from the Fawn Knits podcast on its way. Can't wait to get it, because I think that this shawl is actually going to sit in it. So that's gonna be lovely. And it's really nice because I want to support Lara, because she's so lovely and nice, and I think that the podcast is nice, and she's she's brilliant and she's so talented, and being a friend I want to support her, so I've bought a project bag and I can't wait to use it. I'm going to fill it up. So I'm waiting for that, and I've also bought some Uncommon Thread Lush worsted weight in the confetti colourway, which is like a grey. It's like a subtle grey, and it's got speckles of like yellow and bright blue and bright pinks, and it's really cute. So I bought that. So that'll be on the way possibly next week. But this week I have purchased myself a bowl of this, which is a new well, it's not new. It's Serdar's Heart and Soul, and a lot of their previous sock yarn had really big striping repeats. You probably might have seen that from either online on Ravelry, or I think the Knitting Expert podcast. I think Mina made a pair of Heart and Soul socks in like a pink and purpley colourway for her friend, and they were really big wedged stripes, but I spotted that they got a new colourway, well, a few new colourways, and the striping repeats are smaller. So this is the one that I bought with lots of different shades of, it's got a light pink, dark pink, a medium pink, and then we've got this lovely like minty cute green, and then we've got like light, medium and dark blue, and a creamy pinky colour, but it's so cute. I think you'll agree it's lovely. So these are going to be a pair of socks for myself. Why not? So that's the first bit of yarn that I bought this week, in fact, because I couldn't resist having some of that colourway in my stash. And then the second yarn purchasing that I made was from, I want to say this right, Bear and Wooler. This is hand dyed by Vicky. You can find her on Instagram as well. I think it's Vicky_JB. And this is the Grenadine colourway. I love this. Look at how stunning it is. I love all these like almost rusty oranges. Oh, the rusty oranges, which then go into this like bright pink, this neon-y pink. And I have no idea what's in it with this, but it is stunning. And I'm tempted to put this in my dotted rays shawl. Look at it. Oh, I said to Vicky that I was definitely going to be showing it off on the podcast, and that she'd see me waving it around like a nutter. So here we go. Look at the wall. It's so nice. Do, 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 do. Very silly. It's barefoot sock. Bear is spelled B-A-E-R, just for in case you're searching for it on Google. It's 100 gram and it's 400 metres, so it's really an ample skein of yarn. It's 80% virgin wool, extra fine merino, and it's 20% polyamide. So this camera actually shows it up really well, where it's sat in the light, so it's quite a good representation of what you might future buy. Obviously each skein won't be 100% identical because it's hand dyed, but that's the love of hand dyed yarn. I love this. It's stunning. Thank you so much, Vicky, for sending it as fast as you did. I was so chuffed. I think I bought it on Friday, and then on Instagram I spotted her delivering them to the post office, and getting them sent. And then I think it left there on Monday. It got here by Wednesday. So to get from Germany all the way to the UK in a couple of days, astounding. Like, postal service, well done. So that's possibly going to go into a shawl, a future shawl. What else have I been doing? I've been reading The Handmaid's Tale. Started that. I've got about 60 pages through, so I haven't got all the way through, but it's going really great and it's interesting. It's good. I think I'm going to really get into this book. And future plans for today is to go into town. My mister is going to buy me a donut this morning as a treat. I've been healthy eating all week, and so it's worth it to have a day of where you have a treat. So last night I had Chinese takeaway, basically to cheer him up, and today we are having a walk around town and he's going to treat me to a really nice European style donut. So one of them has like a custard in the middle. It's like a cheesy flavoured custard, and I love it. So I think that's on the cards for me, unless I see something new that I haven't tried yet. Then I might delve into something else. And I think the plan is today, I think in the evening we're hoping to go to the allotment and meet some friends, just to relax, so I might take some knitting there with me. And on Sunday I've got about 20 or so podcasts to watch, to catch up on. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to knit all day and watch those in between helping Will, my mister, get himself sorted throughout the day. I think that's it for today's podcast. It's quite a long one. I obviously had a lot to say. It took me a bit to warm up. So yeah, if you want to find me, you know where to go. Instagram, Nessa Townley, Ravelry as Killtocraft, and now the Ravelry forum, Killtocraft podcast. Come and join in. There may be another episode soon because I am making plans for a knit along. If you have any ideas, if there's any knit along that you might want to, something you might want to knit, or something quite open, broad-minded that you want to knit along to, let me know, because it's always nice to share your ideas. I think that's it. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will either see you in a week or 2 weeks' time. So see you later.